on est en train de payer les 50 cents on est en train de payer 50 cents de MTI, et vraiment nous ne savons pas pourquoi nous faisons ce travail pour MTI. Et également, si ces 50 cents sont payés en crédit card, c'est nous qui payons les 5%. Pourquoi cela? Ça, c'est une injustice.
All right, the 50-cent MTA tax and then the credit card processing. So the MTA tax, you're right, that was imposed on the industry, and it's a tax to pay for the MTA. And I hear drivers will tell me, wait a second, you know, the MTA, the subway is our competitor, and the bus our competitor, and why are we paying to subsidize the competitor? You know, I don't have a great answer for you. The state legislature in Albany 2 years ago, when the MTA was going to run out of money, and they were going to have to shut down some. They did shut down some bus lines and cut back on some subway service, but they would have to shut a lot more down. They came up with some new funding sources for the MTA. That they did a payroll tax on, you know, that's in other words, every employer in not just New York City, but then Nassau, Westchester, Rockland, Orange, and one more county that I'll think of, Suffolk must be, 5 other counties. Every employer in every one of those counties and New York City has to pay a payroll tax to the MTA. That was a new thing they did 2 years ago. And at the same time, they did the 50-cent tax on taxi trips. And you know, I'm not going to stand here and argue to you that was a great thing or it's justified. It is what it is. That's how the MTA, that's how the state legislature chose to fund the MTA or to add funding to the MTA. And you say, why'd they pick on us? Why'd they single out taxis? You know, that I'm not in the state legislature and I can't answer that or explain it. That was how they chose to do it. On the credit card. Okay, on the credit card. You know, I do think that the introduction of credit cards and the fact that customers know that they can get into a taxi and pay by credit card has been good for the industry, that it does bring more passengers into the cars. And there's some proof of that. The total we get from the TPEP, from the meters, every day we get a data to the computer that tells us tax activities in taxis, so we can track it. So in 2009, as compared to 2008, the total amount of dollars spent in taxis was the same. Now, that you may say, well, it didn't go up. You know, everything else in the city in 2009 went down. Every business went down 10%. Restaurants saw 10%, 15% drops. The black car and livery industries saw drops. At least the number of cars went down. We don't track their business, but we know the number of cars went down. So I figure that they saw a drop. Taxi overall total revenue to taxis was the same. 2010 compared to 2009, it was up 12%. So, and that's when most businesses in the city were seeing maybe 4%. So, the taxi on average that brought in $100 in 2009 was $112 in 2010. So that tells me that the credit cards do bring more customers into the cab. Now, it's offset by the 5%. And I'm not going to tell you I think that a taxi driver is better off, but I don't think that I don't think a driver is worse off. I think that between the effect of more people coming in, that balances out the 5% that people are paying. And so while I don't think are better off, I don't think worse off, but for the customer, it is better. Because half of trips people are paying by credit card. It tells you that they want it, and it's in 2011, a lot of people just expect to be able to pay by credit card. I think if we hadn't put that in, the service would diminish.
La question est de savoir quel est le rôle de Tlc envers les propriétaires de compagnies de taxi. Parce que dans la compagnie où je travaille, les gens là, à chaque fois, ils augmentent les livres des taxis. Tant pour temps qu'on increase the livre. À chaque fois qu'on increase the livre, they increase the livre. And because they increase the livre, also they increase the livre every time. You don't know. What only Tlc can control the driver, but they don't control the company. For that, you should know.
Well, the last time the fare was increased was in 2007, and at that time the fare increased, but the lease, at least our official lease cap, did not increase. We raised the fare, but we kept the lease the same. Now, I understand that. I think that that's not what happened in reality in a lot of cases. In reality, the fleets did raise it, and one thing that we know that they have done is they tell drivers, if you're going to take the cab for 5 days, you got to pay for 6 days, or you take it for 6 days, you got to pay for 7. So that's for the driver. They see that as an increase in the lease, even though our official rate has stayed the same. I think that I do think then that there's a burden on us to enforce it and to insist that our lease cap means what it says, and if you charge somebody 6 days for 5, it's the same as charging them a higher rate. And I do think that we need to do a better job in enforcing that. I agree with you there. All right. So tell you what, why don't we do one more question, but now. Like I said before, we want to make sure that we have an ongoing relationship with the association. And so what I would like to say is, I don't know who you dealt with in arranging this, but we have a woman, she couldn't be here today, she's our Director of External Affairs. And what I will do is make sure that you've got her email and her phone number. And if people have additional questions, including about individual cases, you get them to Tweeps, and she'll get answers for you, and you can get back to folks. Is that a good plan?
Yes.
All right. So let's do it.
Possible also in about 3 months we can
Absolutely.
have another meeting like this.
Absolutely.
We can schedule another
Absolutely. We'll do it in July when it's kind of Senegalese weather out. All right. We'll make sure it's good idea. I'm guessing it's warm in Senegal. I don't know for sure. Is that okay? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you, Association of Senegalese. My question is, I have problem with yellow cup or liver cup. I am this cup. Now yellow cup move on Harlem. The liver cup move around in Harlem. Before I drive jeep to regular cup, I want to go back to regular cup. Why? Yeah,
Good.
I make more money. I scared God up to God Tlc. Up to God, I scared God. Up to God Tlc.
Well, at least you put God first. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and
when I go downtown, I make a lot of money. I pick up customers with a lot of money. There's it taxi. I coming back. What I coming back? What to go to airport?
This guy took up my customer. He say he don't go to the town. The big building now, downtown, move in big building here because of money.
All right.
But my best give me the customer, I go over the sales inside. The first customer come, the sales guy go say, I have like a pound. What I want to talk to best, I say, move my customer, put it up. He say, you talk to phone. Me, I go to cash, sometimes I do. Anybody can give me cash for the
So
but the phone.
let me just
You say, I have mic, I talk to mic.
all right.
The police say the mic is on. What I go to tell this, he say, if you call, I can do it now.
Okay, sir. Just I want one question. So you have a TLC license or not?
I have taxi license. I drive a taxi now.
A taxi.
Taxi taxi.
Okay.
The regular cop make money. What I go to any building, the regular can stay here. He gives the customer. I cannot put my apply here. And you must go.
I'm not following.
kenn génne ñu dañ koy jël bu ñu ko jëlee bu ñu teel si jàpp dañ ñu jàpp bu ñu bëggee téléphoné PS bi di laaj saxam fi ñu jëm fan la ñu yéen da ngeen di téléphoné police jàpp donc dañuy am problème est-ce que comprendre li may wax
looy dawal level
teel lay déli lay drive mais
livré la rek livré yela wax you have an issue sometimes you receive a call from the dispatcher and pick up a customer. And when there's enforcement, he's accused of making a phone call inside for people who are in the building. I believe that issue that is a little cut that has a license.
okay.
All right. If I got it, I don't know if I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're asking, but about a ticket for the phone call. Is that it?
Yeah.
So you are, as you know, delivery drivers are allowed to accept phone calls to accept a trip. So a call from the base that tells you where to go to pick up a passenger, you're allowed to do. So if you're saying that you get tickets for that, then you have to go to the TLC court and you get a letter from the base that says, I got a ticket on such. Here's what that was a call from the base to me and describe what the call was. Then the judge is supposed to dismiss the ticket, and that does happen a fair bit. In other words, we do sometimes issue tickets to people who are accepting a call from a base, and they get a letter from the base and bring it into the court. So I'm not sure if that was the question, but if it was, then you have to handle it.
The second question is, you have this person, you are in fact, you leave the person here. There's nobody in car. The same test of you see one paper, you say the car is loaded. You cannot kill it any minute.
Well, that we shouldn't do. That we should not do. Thank you. So we're going to get your.
One more thing before you leave, because we have the former president of the Senegalese Association. He's a yellow cab driver also.
Oh, great.
We want to give him the mic.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
ma ne may leen ñu tuuti ñu ngi jéggulu comme dafa bëgg a dem dañu bëgg rek ñu delloo tuuti njukkal ki nga xam ne nekkoon na fi ak ñun muy Ibrahima Diafouné au moins parce que am na lu mu war a wax wala am lu ñu laaj bu ngeen ci d'accord ñu jox ko kàddu gi balaa waajee dem d'accord ngeen ci loolu wala d'accord ñu d'accord nañ ci waaw
ok ok
non mais bon Mamour defal ndànk Mamour bu ñu siif dañu commencé ngeen ne li ngeen